The Share Pickers Weekend Podcast with Justin, Paddy, Peter and Steve. The content of this podcast is not intended as investment advice. It is for information purposes only. People in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Welcome to the Weekend Podcast. I'm joined by Steve.
Just me.
Steve, that's it, yes.
Yeah.
Paddy, that's like, last week he was in New York City. And now he said, Pad, Weekend Podcast? No, I'm in Cannes. What the heck? He's quite anti-celebrity, Pad, a little bit, but I think he's enjoying it, isn't he? Flying from New York City to Cannes. That's, of course, the new McEnroe film out. I think it's out on the 15th. They do it. I don't know where else he's going, but I think he's loving it. And, of course...
I think the next premiere's in Staines.
Oh, nice, yeah. Of course, they can't leave that out. Cultural capital of the world, Staines.
Yeah.
And then Croydon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, marvellous stuff. Steve, had a busy week, fella?
Yeah, very busy. Up in London this week, London town, the big smoke. So up there, which is good.
Yeah. What's it like in London? Is it busy? Is it back to normal, Steve? Is it bustling?
Complete. So busy. And also, like, I'm not sure what it's like down by you, but in London it was 32 degrees on Friday there. Too hot.
Yeah. Well, last night, I mean, this has obviously got the patio set out now, all the patio out, and new swimming pool, big one. It's going to kill the garden. We know that now. We've taken that on board. But but we got a fire pit as well. I always fancy a fire pit, but I don't know what's happened, what we've done wrong. We go camping, right? We put a fire. It's fine, easy. The logs burn all night. We got to see the logs, and they're kiln dried. I don't know if you know anything about fire pits, Steve. They're kiln dried. They're hardwood. It's pretty good, right? Twice we've used it. It smoked us out. We had to shut the bifold doors, go back in the house, because we smoked the entire neighbourhood out. It's ridiculous. Last night I go out there with a bucket of water and just put it out. I couldn't breathe. It's like it spoils a good evening. What are we doing wrong? We're texting our neighbour, so they have to be kiln dried. They are kiln dried. Well, hardwood, yes, but they're not dry enough. They are dry because they've been in the garage in this heat for last week. What are we doing wrong? It's like we're smoking the entire neighbourhood out. It's so annoying.
So you lighten them with kindling?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny actually, my sister got a fire pit for my brother-in-law, and she spent £350 on a fire pit, and I was like, "What? How have you spent £350 on a fire pit?" Apparently, it's a smokeless fire pit, and it guarantees to have no smoke. So the design of how it pulls the air in. And
you don't want to tell Megan that. She'll be taking this back. But this was a nice one. It's a really nice looking fire pit. It's not cheap. I don't understand how we can get fire wrong from the dawns of time.
It does sound like your wood. Maybe you've just bought dodgy wood.
Yeah. Well, listen, I said to Megan, said, what are we doing? Why are you doing wrong? How can you get that wrong? I said, what do you mean? How am I doing that? I said, I'm an expert at fire. I burnt my own house down when I was a kid. And the kids keep telling me that. I did do that. People think, I remember, we were, I don't know how old I was. I was literally, single figures. I was like 7 or 8 or something. My brother was 2 years older. And we were in the living room of our house, and my mother was on the phone to her mother just outside the living room. And we just walked past and said, and I think Nick said, my brother said, Mum, there's a fire in the living room. We were playing with matches, So, what do you mean fire? Hang on, bear with me. She said to her mother, hang on, Mum. And then she looked in the living room, I'll call you back! And literally, the house was gutted. We gutted the entire house.
Was that the entire house went up?
Yeah, the entire house. I think I had about 4 fire engines. My father, who worked in a garage, not a couple of miles away, saw the smoke from the garage, like 2 miles away.
Oh dear.
And so I said, Megan, I know about fires. I started very young. Very young. I've got a lot of experience here. There's nothing wrong with me. It's either the logs or the fire pit. I think it's the logs,
Yeah, but hang on a minute. You just said your dad could see the smoke from 2 miles out. That's the problem. So maybe you can start the fire, you just can't control it. Yeah. Control the smoke.
Yeah, maybe I'm good at the smoke bit, not the fire bit. He's good at creating smoke, that guy. So that's so annoying. But it's like one of the things I've always looked forward to. A lovely evening, just look at the fire, the idiot's lantern. Because years ago, of course, before TV came along, that was the thing people stared at. And they are mesmeric. You can stare at them for hours, can't you? One of those things, just look at the flames. Trouble is, you can't see the flames. It's all smoke. That is not as nice to look at. Anyway, markets. Oh, the markets haven't been on fire. I'm just looking now. Bitcoin is tanking, right? It was just gone below 20,000. It's down at 19,141. So it's looking like it's going to break 19,000. Do you remember the last, not the last one, the one before the live in November last year? We did a live, weekend video cast in my summer house, and I did do a big bit on sort of cryptocurrency, saying, will 2022 be the year the crypto crashes? Because it's been a bubble, and it's when you're in a bubble, it's hard to know it. People just believe the hype, it's all self-fueling, hype and hope and potential. And I said, it's a house of cards. These coins tokens are proliferating. There's thousands of them, and they suck money out of the bigger ones. And a couple of those crash and burn. And every time one of those crashes and burns, it removes trust and money from the system of crypto. And I said, sooner or later, the thousands of small cards at the bottom will start collapsing, and it'll bring everything else down. And I think that's happening right now. If you look at it, it's down 70% since November, Bitcoin. And people say, it's a store of value. Is it? Wow. What a store of value that is, from 70% down. People say it was a currency. You can't buy anything with Bitcoin, right? Because if you buy something, this week, you could end up realizing you paid let's say you pay, $19,000 for something for one Bitcoin. Then next week or the week after, it's changed. The price has changed. So cab drivers, they're saying it's good for developing countries. It's not. It's so volatile. Your fares would be up and down like crazy. It doesn't make any sense. So what is the point of Bitcoin at the moment? And people are starting to realise that. It's not, it uses a lot of power. I know people are now trying to get green power, and they're doing it by wind farms, solar, all that stuff. But what is the point of it now? I don't understand the point of Bitcoin, do you? And I think... I do feel sorry for a lot of people who got burned into this. There's so many people who've not touched investments, and even elderly people. My father tempted into buying Bitcoin. It's one of the biggest Ponzi schemes, biggest bubbles ever. It's like the dot-com crash. And there's a lot of companies, dot-coms, proliferated, jumping on the coattails of the internet era. And it went crazy, rose like crazy, and of course, eventually it popped when all valuations were ridiculous. Do you own any Bitcoin, Steve?
No, I bought some at the same time you did. And I did sell out at a profit, a very small profit, down in the $8,000 of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But, and then obviously about a couple of months later, it went gangbusters, didn't it? But, so I'm a bit gutted I didn't hold out for that a little bit. But at the same time, I will never, ever buy it again, because even when I saw that rise, I was like, do you know what? It just shows it's just so unpredictable, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it is nuts, because if you realise, you've got to buy anything you buy, whatever asset, if Bitcoin's an asset, you've got to get a good price for it. Like I said, we bought that at 8,000, and even if it's sold now, we still double our money on that, So if you don't believe it's a bubble and a pop, if you get in early, you tend to, remove a lot of the risk. Because, like I say, right now, we've probably sold way before this time now, if we'd still held on to it. But, in fact, we did. But, still, 8,000 would still be in profit at 19,000. In fact, it's just going right now, 19,088, and it's in free fall. Because you've got a lot of leveraged people in this, like Michael Saylor. Do you know Michael Saylor? Have I pointed out Michael Saylor to you before? Do you know who he is?
No.
He's the CEO and chairman of MicroStrategy. Now, he's a software business listed in the US, right? But he's essentially an ETF on Bitcoin. He's bought every bit of cash he had. He's taken out loans and everything to buy Bitcoin, right?
Oh dear.
He's the biggest. He's the biggest holder of Bitcoin of all, and he's also the last thing he did was a couple of months back took out a $205 million loan to buy more Bitcoin. And his average price now is 44. But he's like a complete maximalist. He's completely in denial. He says,
what's his average price then?
Yeah, about 44,000.
Oh dear.
So he's one of these guys who's called Bitcoin maximalists who completely believe it's going to be $1 million. And I thought, this guy went bust in .com era. He did the same thing. He went massively big on internet stocks, and they crashed. So he seems like the guy who gets in early in a bubble, keeps piling in, ramping it to high heaven, and it goes wrong for him. And I thought, well, why are you doing that? That is not what a CEO of a company should be doing, And if you look at any of his videos, they're so way over the top. He says things like, get a mortgage, remortgage your house, sell everything you can, anything you can sell, buy Bitcoin. He's like that. He says that. And I thought,
that's got to be illegal to do that, surely.
First time I saw that video, him saying that, I posted it on Twitter, I thought it was a spoof. And I realised I learned who he was. And I thought, this guy is nuts. He's insane. He's going to...
Dangerous as well, more than anything.
Yeah.
Like, really dangerous.
Well,
because the people who get sucked into that are the people who don't have money and probably will bloody sell their houses to do it.
Yeah.
And can't afford it.
Well, his fund, of course, has got to pay... They've got to pay something ridiculous, like 40 million in interest alone. until long as so you'll have a lot of companies like that. He's the biggest holder, pretty much, company Bitcoin, but you'll have a lot of funds already distressed and going through crypto funds. They're already can't, and a lot of platforms are shutting down, saying you can't withdraw your Bitcoin now. So we're in a lot of trouble here because there's a lot of people who leveraged long. They borrowed money to buy Bitcoin, and now it's fallen below where they purchased that, and they can't even sell it now. And literally, the next chance they have to sell it will probably be way, way, way below where we are at the moment. And in fact, it's just about crossing 19,000. But a lesson learned here is that I always said to Glenn,
is it just gone down by 1,000 in the space of what we've been recording?
Yeah, literally, it's now down. It's now down 18,870. So it's just literally. What was that? Yeah. So literally, in the last few sessions, it was at 30,000. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days ago it was at 30,000. Now it's below 20,000. Below 19,000.
Crazy.
So
did you see the news that I'm not sure how well, it is real obviously, but how it goes sick, but Elon Musk being sued for $256 billion on ramping Dogecoin.
yeah. Well, exactly. He was one of the guys, and when you get a guy like that, the richest guy in the world, seemingly validating, these crypto token stuff, it's like, people with obviously less money than him, but less means than him, jump into it as well, and you think this is nuts. And I thought for a long time you've got to regulate it. You can't do this or anything else. You've got to regulate Bitcoin like that because there's so many rip-off scams and schemes. It's a large Ponzi scheme. And Elon Musk there is, in fact, he's looking at now whether he's going to buy Twitter or not. It's doubtful. I did say a while back that was a big pump and dump by Elon, but at the wrong time when the market was crashing. I say, the markets this week, Bitcoin, if you look at all the indices, pretty much, the markets have tanked. And it's a good sign. I think we're close to or nearing a bottom. It takes some months to come here, but Bitcoin at the top there, down 70%. AIM 100, that's since November. AIM 100 is down 36% since the 9th last year, was that September? Yeah, so it's interesting. But I was saying it's funny, I have a few conversations with people, and I was saying at the moment, commodities now are starting at last, because it's not a question of if there's going to be a recession. There will be a recession. Definitely will be a recession. And the markets are pricing that in. That's what they're trying to do, correct to that. So I think the heavy lifting of the big fall has happened. We may go down a few. In fact, I just sent an email. Did you get my email this morning, Steve?
Yes.
Share Pickers Investment Club. And I want to sort of reiterate that, the bear markets, because,
Oh, no, maybe not that one. I saw the one,
okay.
you said you're releasing the video.
Yeah, below that, I said there's 2 points.
Okay.
The first line was, Steve, there's 2 points to this email. It's about the company I'm talking about and about bear markets. And I say that the best time to make a lot of money in the stock market is after a bear market. When I said, but I want to preface this with a few caveats. And I said, many strategies, investment strategies, do not work well or don't work at all in the down phases of a bear market, because there are phases, they go up and down, bear markets, but generally they end up low. The trend is down, and I do think the economy is now going to a difficult recession. But, and people get these confused. Don't confuse this with the stock market. The stock market is already pricing in a recession. It's been doing this for the last few months, so it sees it ahead. And I think as soon as the market, and I keep saying this, sees peak inflation, which we haven't had yet. Inflation is still going up. Bank of England said this week that inflation at the moment is 9%. It'll probably go up to 11%. So see, the big gain has happened. We're only 2% off the peak, they're saying, pretty much. But so as soon as you've seen that, inflation not getting any worse, a rally will happen. And I say, I don't think it will be the rally. There'll be the recovery rally, but it'll probably be the bottom, where it's strong bounce off the bottom, and we may have to retest that. So there'll still be lots of volatility around. And I'm talking months here.
I can say we're not talking like until later this year at the earliest, I guess. Yeah,
well, bear markets, on average, with a recession, last about 16 months. Okay, without a recession, 12 months. So, AIM is pretty much 10 months into it. But the bottom will be, you can find the bottom and then it'll bounce around a bit, maybe test that a little bit. So there's a long period of it just hanging around the bottom where people lose faith. They think, is this going anywhere? And the market, like I said, won't go back up in a straight line because inflation won't. Inflation is very sticky. It doesn't just drop off a cliff. It hangs around for months. but the market will see it. The figure's not getting worse and tend to improve. And in fact, just had a conversation with someone saying, you shouldn't keep saying buy the dip. I don't say buy the dip, generally. I say, accumulate good businesses now when they're cheap, because it doesn't last forever. We know the stats on bear markets pretty much, and bull markets, it's pretty much 5 years up, 12 to 18 months down, So time's on your side. If you're holding for longer than 2-3 years, time's on your side there.
See, I'm not in a massive rush to pile more money in at the bottom at the moment, because I feel, and I think I've learned this over investing, rather than trying to get the best price as it's going down, when it starts coming back, buy in then. You might not get the bottom price, but at least it's going in the right direction, and it's a little bit more reliable then, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
that's my strategy anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. No one can guess the bottom. People have this, heroes of task of saying, I called the bottom. There's no point. I mean, all you need is a good average. That's all you need. And how you do that is scaling, to good business, over time. You can't guess the bottom, you can't guess the top. And I said in this email, I said, don't buy at the highs, because sell-offs will happen and they could be deep and last for weeks, but there will be big rallies. And it's chance to, if you're in any positions, and you've reviewed a company and it's not going as planned, or you think it's going to be affected by inflation in some way, and you want to exit it or partially exit it, wait for the big rallies. They will happen. The bear markets are known for spectacular rallies because people think the recovery is on. Once it starts rallying, everyone piles in and then it rolls over. So I said, don't buy at the highs because there will be sell-offs, and don't sell companies at the lows and take losses, as there will be big rallies, and they roll over. And you just got to think beyond it. Every bear market has ended, and it ends with normally a fantastic bull run. And so the initial bounce from that bottom. So that's why you can't. There's no point selling now at a low, like the S&P and all that stuff in America this week really sold off. But you tend to get big bounces on those technical sell-offs, So that's why you can't time the market. All you can have is a bit of time in the market, and try and keep your average low on a good business you hold, and you will experience these big rallies. And it will happen sooner or later. I mean, it's almost like people think it won't happen. It will happen. So if you're going to invest, Steve, scale in. Okay. Over time, because there's plenty, like you said there's plenty of time. When we're in a bear market, not everything goes up quickly as fast as the bull market. So there's plenty of time to research, scale in over the next couple of years. And in fact, I've come up with a new acronym, Steve. I've got schedules as an acronym for my filters. But quickly, I've got a new acronym called INVEST. That's quite good, isn't it? Makes sense, that, eh?
Very good. It's a genius.
Yeah, well, Well, so what I is for improving, right? When you look at a company, think if you're in micro caps, small caps, in fact, most companies have to have a bit of growth there. So improving. Is it improving? And by that I mean growth-wise, top line by 20% with good margins. No point having a business turn over lots of money and making a loss because they got the margins are paper thin. And N is for new. Does the company have something new to offer? A USP, a claim to fame? Is there something there that differentiates it from other competitors? Because that means they get better margins generally. If they're a leader of the pack or first in the game. If you look at any market leaders, like people like, in fact, I was going to say ASOS, but you've seen ASOS share price. It's gone from 60 quid to 9 quid.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that's because of inflation, you see. I mean, in this area, they have... Most of inflation comes from energy, oil and gas, and shipping costs, transportation costs have risen massively, of course, and then that's what they do a lot of. And then on top of that, you're getting lots of people, because there's a downturn in the spend, people are sending lots of stuff back, and they're not charging for that. They've got to. I don't think they are. I think some companies are starting to charge for that now. But this costs them a lot of money on return. So, does the company have something new to offer? And by that, ASOS was first in the market pretty much for online, and that's why it was like a darling of the stock market. It went from something silly, a couple of pence to like 60 quid, didn't it? So, that's, I mean, are they new in the market? They are sort of, V is for value, always. And that's a Bitcoin. How do you value Bitcoin? If someone said to you, what's Bitcoin worth? There's no way of knowing, is there? How do you know what it's worth? It's
look online.
What's that?
You look online.
No, but I mean, you can see the market cap. That means the actual Bitcoins out there times by the price. But the underlying value of the business of Bitcoin, what is it? How do you actually put a value with a company? You value them on revenue, profits, whatever, and their assets. what is Bitcoin? I don't know how you value it. So that's why I've always been a little bit skeptical. Obviously the whole pipe situation you can invest in, but not now anymore. So that's gone. So what's it valued at? I don't understand how you could. So that's why I've largely disagreed with Glenn on the podcast on a weekly basis. There's a crypto trader. There's no way of valuing these things. How do you put a valuation on them? There's no balance sheets. There's no financial statements. There's no cash flow statements. How do you value them? You can't. So value, when you look at a company, always try and get a good price for an asset, no matter what you buy, even if it's a house, or car. You've always got to try and get a good deal, haven't you?
Yeah.
Are you buying a car or a house soon, Steve?
No. I put the house buying on hold until I wait for the house market to crash, and then I'll buy one then.
It's definitely going to roll over. I don't know if house price. There's always going to be demand there,
Well, they've already said.
Yeah.
The timber merchants, the timber's now stocking in again because the demands for house building is slowly declining now. So this is it, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I saw even last week the FT and there's a couple of people now saying. Mortgage applications have gone down. Housing is the last thing to roll over, and even in America, housing starts have gone down, construction's gone down. So you can see how that impacts the economy because house building construction is a massive part of the economy. And so, interest rates going up, then, of course, less people are going to buy and also more people are going to sell. So you will have a softening in the housing market, which is good for a buyer who's serious who wants to buy and has the cash and the money. You can get it, but of course mortgages going up. So anyway, that's V is for value and invest. E is for earnings. Are they profitable or have cash to get them to profitability? That's very important. You don't want to keep investing in companies, issuing equity all the time, because dilutes you as a shareholder, and you get people selling and all that stuff. It's not good. So you want organic growth there. S for scalable, always important. Can the company scale to multiples of their current market cap? And then lastly, very important there, trending. Are they in a hot area that's growing year on year, decade on decade? Is it a mega trend in some way? And I say this like in energy transition companies, net zero, or you got gaming, stuff like that. Energy is very big at the moment. EVs, all stuff like that. That's a trending area. It's only going to get bigger and stronger over the next 10 years. It's very important you look at that when you're looking at a company because, it's going with the tide. It's not against the tide. It's with regulation. Regulation's on its side. Everywhere in the country, every government is basically, behind that trend. So that provides huge inflow of funds. So that's invest, Steve. Go through them again. I'm okay.
I could probably work most of them. No.
Stuck on
Stuck on the first.
I can go through most of them.
N was new. V value.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember.
E earnings. S scalability. T trending. I is improving.
Improving, that's the one.
And by that I mean the fundamentals of a company. The reported fundamentals. Are they improving? Not do you think they're improving because they posted something on Twitter that's doing very well, or maybe have a contract here with this company. No, I mean in their financial statements, are they improving? That's fact there. Apart from now and again, you may get the odd dodgy CFO that gets cooking the books. Doesn't happen very often, but you can pretty much rely on the financial statements as fact. Everything else is pretty much opinion. So there we are. Have you noticed that Megan came back from the shops from Aldi and Asda this week? I'm noticing prices now a lot going up. Are you, Stevie? Because you do your own shopping. Do you notice anything at all?
Yeah, definitely. Everything's going up, yeah.
Well, what's the first thing? Because I think it was the committee of grocers or something like that, some kind of group of people, grocery sort of council or whatever, said they still expect staples now to go up by 10 to 15% over the next few months. That's bread, all that stuff, pasta, even more. So,
yeah, I'm seeing less offers. I think that's another thing as well. I can't pick out anything particular. I think meat's gone up from. I think that I posted that the other day. But I just generally my shopping bill, like when I'm going to the till, I'm like, wow, that's a lot more than I used to pay.
And when do you shop? Do you go a couple of shops or one?
I do. I do lots of small shops because I live next to an Aldi, so I'm constantly in and out. And I never do a big shop. Yeah. So whereas I think before you could go into Aldi and buy a couple of things and walk out like it's under a £5, and now it's like it's coming up to a £10 now. So it's definitely. I don't tend to look at prices in supermarkets. To be honest, if I need it, I need it. I don't tend to.
Yeah. Oh, shop like a millionaire. All right. I mean, it'd be very fine now, though. You pay a little more. Even that, right? So beforehand, you didn't really even look at the prices. Now you're probably thinking, oh, look at that. It's gone up. You start noticing stuff, you know? And that changes our behaviour, doesn't it? Even now, people saying to each other. And do you know what? I talked with Russ Mould, who's investment director at stockbroker AJ Bell, yesterday. And there's a shift now, paradigm shift from is there going to be a recession to how long or how deep will the recession be? And people are pretty much nailed on. And if you look at it, first of all, inflation is the cure for inflation, first and foremost, because people buy less because they can't afford it. Simple as that. People are taking less car journeys. In fact, I don't know if you saw this, BBC survey, right? More than half of the 4,000 people in the survey, so, decent-sized sample, they'd said they'd bought fewer groceries in the same proportion to skip meals. They're also travelling less, using the car less. That impacts a lot of people, and
I'm definitely using my car a lot less now.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I don't mind going on public transport anyway, to be honest. And actually, now it's more of a push to go. Yeah, no, I think I will use public transport. It's yeah.
Yeah, so that in itself, right? You understand the impact of that. So what people say, and I said the only way to bring this oil and gas down at the moment, that's the big input for inflation prices, is a recession. It's the fastest cure for that. Every time, it's in the last, I don't know how many, since World War II pretty much, every time there's been a high oil price, a recession has followed. Every time. And so this is no exception. It's happening right now. And I had some people discussing it with me. I say discussing it politely on Twitter when I posted that last night, saying, no, this time is different. Demand is huge, but you don't understand demand destruction. There's two dynamics here: supply and demand. If supply stays static and demand drops, the price will come down, and demand is dropping. It will drop because if you look at it, inflation, right, and interest rates, it means as a family, as a person, you are getting hit from every angle you can. So on the borrowings from mortgages, prices on all goods. So you imagine a family of four, right? They've got a mortgage. I don't know if they fixed their mortgage or not. But if they haven't, their mortgage price is going up. If you're renting, lots of rent has gone up at the moment, okay? So even if you've got a fixed mortgage, your national insurance is going up. So they drive to the supermarket, right? The price to get there pretty much has gone up in fuel, all right? So they get to the supermarket, all the prices have gone up. What are they going to do? They're going to cut back, right? So they buy less, they travel less. This means the supermarkets sell less. And already Tesco's are saying they're seeing evidence in their recent figures out a couple of days ago. And in fact, good article from John Human there on Vox talking about this. Already Tesco's are seeing evidence of people buying less. So that means that supermarkets sell less. So they buy less, they need less staff who in turn go on benefits or try and find other jobs. They can't buy as much as they used to. Again, they buy less. The supermarkets have to sell less and produce less. And and the government's then, are faced with paying more benefits and collecting less tax. It's a vicious cycle, It carries on like this until we hit the bottom. And so, companies who will get their margins squeezed now, higher weight. And on the other side of it, if you've got companies selling less but having to pay more in wages because of inflation, their margins get squeezed massively. So what you get now is, companies reporting, less bigger profits or going into loss because of this, laying off people, and that's how it works. It's a vicious cycle. It goes round and round, and the economy will go into recession, and oil prices will come down, and sadly, the cure for inflation is inflation plus interest rates. So I think we're in for a tricky time, absolutely tricky time. In fact, look at that. This guy there, Warwick University academic professor Andrew Oswald, noted almost every post-war recession has been preceded by a rise in oil prices. The cost of crude rose sharply in 1973, 1979, 1990, 2007. All were followed by recessions, though sometimes the energy was not the only factor. Of course, it's not the only factor, but it's a factor, isn't it? So, yeah, but...
do you know what's annoying at the moment? I keep seeing in the news... in the Russia thing, is that China and India are buying up all his oil, and you're like, oh, that's so frustrating to see, isn't it? And he's like his profits are going up because of them. They're buying it all at like ridiculously cheap prices. You're like, come on, Russia, come on. Well, we know China's going to do it, and India. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I know it's the market, though, isn't it? Someone's always going to buy cheap oil because if you look at it, if you're not, I can understand, most people in the world, most decent countries in the world, think what they've done in Ukraine is dreadful, absolutely dreadful. And you think, Putin needs to be taken out. He's killing innocents. They've invaded a land that's not theirs. But you always have countries say, well, listen, Russia's our friend, really, and if we can buy cheap oil in an inflationary environment, we will. So I know it's dreadful. I don't know where it's going to end. And the thing is, it'd be nice, like I said, the transition. People switching now to renewables. That'll affect Russia a lot over time. But I think, it's sad to see that going on. And people someone said to me, I said the fastest cure for, oil and gas going down is a recession. Someone said, well, also the war stopping in Ukraine. I said, yeah, that'll help the markets. But inflation will still hang around for a lot. And in fact, I talked about inflation. The last inflation-induced recession we had was in the 70s. And it was horrible. It lasted for a long time. Like I said, inflation didn't go down straight. It hangs around. It goes down, goes back up, goes back down. I mean, slowly it's a downtrend, but there's big spikes in it. And it hangs around for years. It didn't just go overnight. I mean, we are a bit different, this economy. The economy we have now is a bit more diversified. There's less unions around. So it's a little bit different. So it may last as long, but inflation doesn't just stop overnight. There's high prices and people get affected over time. Businesses take a long time to go under and all that stuff. So it can be protracted and last for ages. But it's worrying. But bear markets generally, even with recessions, last 16 months, you've got to look through it. And thinking, okay, what is this company worth now? Am I buying a good value? Will it be worth a lot more after the bear market? And now, pretty much a lot of companies are. There's a lot of companies now that are quite cheap, decent companies, and so now is a good time to get in. Start scaling in.
But as you said, it's just having the cash, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, and that's what I'm saying. We will have rallies. So if this company you have more commitment on than other companies, and you think this company I can see, I'm really more confident. I've done more research on this company than company A. I'm very, very confident on. Company B, I'm not too sure. On rallies, maybe exit. Scale out of that one company you're not confident in, and scale into the company that you are confident in. And the rally will happen. Scale out on the rally, hold the cash, and wait for another sell-off, because bear markets have big sell-offs and big rallies. So that's how to do it. If you want to take money from one to put in the other, just rebalancing the portfolio towards companies you think are going to do very well over the long term compared to the companies you're not that confident on anymore. That's the way to do it. Don't just dump stocks because of the sell-off, because it'll rebound. Honestly, it'll always rebound. Always. What percentage of your portfolio would you say you have of cash?
0. I've got no cash.
Oh, you? Yeah. Well,
no.
See, that's appropriate for you, Steve. But you see a big. I think it's going to happen this week. S&P in America, we're pretty much led by the American markets. If you look at the S&P in America, it fell off a cliff this week. Pretty much, it went down from. I think the support level is around about 3,400, 3,500, but it's now at 3,674. It's come from 4,800 in January down to 3,600. So what's that in percentage terms? It's now down at 24% down. And that's the biggest indices, the market with the biggest market caps in the world. So, I mean, and I think it's last few days that have accelerated sell-off. And when you get that, you tend to have a little bounce. So you may have a few bounces the next few days or next few weeks. And so if you want, it won't be the recovery. People will be fooled into thinking that's it now. But it won't. Honestly, bear markets last for a while. So there's these opportunities to either scale in on the sell-offs or scale out of companies you're not that confident on the rallies. That's the way to manage it.
Yeah, I don't really have any companies to scale out of, to be honest.
Well, no, okay. Are you overexposed? I mean, even just rebalancing the portfolio a little bit, So if you have way about 20% in one company or something, maybe you think, okay, maybe that's a bit too much, or maybe I should scale out of that, or it's just a company maybe you don't have too much in any and you think, I'm not that confident in that company anymore, or whatever. You can always find some opportunity somewhere. There's always some some money top slice from Stevie. Always. Have you have any news out on companies this week? I don't think we did, really. No.
Any what?
Any news on companies we own this week?
Only the. Oh no, we can't talk about that company, can we?
Yeah, I know. That'll be
next week.
I was I want to try the TV there. I started watching Saul Goodman again, right? I've completely lost the plot of it.
Oh, do you know what? I deeply regret, because I started on season 2 after watching 1 ages ago, and I completely forgot. I almost need to go back. I finished it now. Well, up to where it is on TV. And I need to go back and watch season 1 because, yeah, I'm a little bit confused as well.
They started talking about Varga and Lola and all these people. I thought, who is he? Who's he? I even had to go on IMDb and look at who. In the end, last night, I said to my wife, you should watch Better Call Saul. It's good. It's a spin-out from Breaking Bad. She said, okay, because I watched Breaking Bad and I loved it. And she eventually watched it. Megan eventually watched it, and then she loved it. But you realise it's a long time. So it's a spin-out. And then we started watching it last night, right? Said, where's his kids? So what do you mean? His wife and kids. So what are you talking about? Saul hasn't got a wife and kids. Yeah, he does. He got a wife and kids. That's not him. She said, it doesn't look like him. A different actor, is it? I said, what do you mean? So where's Jesse then? I said, hang on. I said, this is not Breaking Bad. This is a spin-out from Breaking Bad. They said, yeah, but he had children, didn't he? I said, oh, no, Walter White. Yeah, Walter White had children, yeah. But this is not Walter White. It's a spin-out. This is his lawyer. Oh, okay. I didn't realise he had a lawyer. I said, yeah,
What's he? He's the biggest part of it.
I said, I know the guy they always laundered money through. That was him. He could go to his office all the time and get cash from him and all that stuff. He had to launder. That's him. And said, oh, okay. So then she started watching it. She does this all the time. She falls asleep. And so I'm sitting there. Meg, did you get that? Huh? Are you watching this? Yeah. Well, with your eyes shut, I'm listening to it. You're not listening. It's a TV. You can't listen to it. It does that all the time. I'm listening. I said, try to stop it. No, don't stop it. Don't. And I said, you can't. It's pointless. I rewound it. We've gone back to the first one. And I'm also watching season 6, but I'm sort of catching up with it. But there's bits of it that's very patchy. It's amazing how much you forget, isn't it? I don't know who that person is, what his name is. Who's Varga? They keep mentioning Varga. I know who Lola is, Lola Salamanca, one of the guys that he's gone underground now. They think he's dead, but he's maybe not dead. But I don't know who Varga is. Who the hell is Varga? Who the hell is that? I looked him up. He wasn't there. Couldn't find him on IMDb. So
He wasn't on Britain's Got Talent?
Yeah, Varga. Yeah, he's done well for himself, hasn't he? He's doing Better Call Saul. It's a strange sideways move in the showbiz industry. Yeah. But no, definitely Watford. It's very good, isn't it? And the plots are excellent, aren't they? Just the scams, they are very good.
Yeah.
What did you say you were watching last? Because that Kate Bush hit. Is that from Stranger Things?
Stranger Things, yeah.
What is that about? No, I've never seen it.
You've never what? You haven't even seen the first couple of seasons?
No, what is that?
Oh, that's so good. Why?
What are they about?
Oh, if I describe it to you, you'll say it's too childish and you won't watch it. Like,
go on.
It's about. It's a bit science fiction-y, so that's probably going to put you off. But it's not. Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Okay, yeah, because it's funny.
In fact, the first time I started watching it, I watched 1 or 2 episodes, and I was like, "Nah, this is not for me," because I'm not really massively into sci-fi. And then everyone was raving about it a couple of years ago, and I went back to it, and then I literally went through the 3 seasons all in one go. Then it is really good, definitely, and it's got a cracking soundtrack as well because it's all based around the 80s. Yeah.
All right. So that's why Kate Bush is there. Yeah. Because that's the theme in it. And it's one of these things. I heard this Radio 5 thing, and kids telling you, apparently a lot of kids now are telling their parents, you should listen to this song. It's good. I know that song, you fool. The first time round, I get that with Monty and Fred on TikTok. They start singing a song like from the 80s, and it's been revamped, remixed, all this stuff, and some guys do it on TikTok. And I said, "Mom, that's an old song." No, it's not. They obviously, argue with me. I said, It is.
I'm surprised Monty and Fred aren't into Stranger Things. It's like speak to my niece. Like it's what all the kids are into at the moment. Stranger Things. Like you see all kids wearing Stranger Things merchandise and stuff, like T-shirts.
Yeah. Maybe they're not. Maybe he is into it. Fred's into Netflix. Monty just pretty much into TikTok and Family Guy, and football. So that's what he plays. That's what he does. Marvellous. Anything else, Steve? Anything happening this week? Anything exciting?
No, do you know, I've had a bit of a boring week. I've just been working, so yeah, I literally have had no life this week to talk about.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's good you're working there, Steve,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, weirdly, I was talking about this from the guys. Is like there seems to be a massive demand for like video work and stuff at the moment. So like you literally can overcharge people at the moment. So in that respect, it's doing really well.
Is everything sort of gone up like that? Is everything just charging over now? Oh, it's inflation. Every new, and that's the problem.
Well, especially in the kind of like engineering world, because a lot of people kind of like left it. Unless you're a really good freelancer, a lot of people don't. Sorry, a lot of freelancers probably don't save money. They use their money to things. So obviously through lockdown, they probably kind of went, oh, bugger this, and get a normal job. So loads of people left the industry. So so the people who kind of did hang around, there's just so much work out there at the moment. So
yeah, it's like the stock market, Steve. The people hanging around make money. See,
people
jumping out on the highs and lows. Yeah. Marvellous. Cheers, Steve. Thanks for that. Speak to you next week.
Bye.
The Share Pickers Weekend Podcast with Justin, Paddy, Peter and Steve. The content of this podcast is not intended as investment advice. It is for information purposes only. People in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy anything based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.